Broadcasting from our studios in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, this is Hashtag Finance, West Coast Edition, presented to you by the CSE, the Exchange for Entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the first edition of the Hashtag Finance West Coast Edition of the CSE podcast. I'm here with Anna Serin, who's our Director of Listings Development. Anna, welcome.
Welcome, Anil. It's a hot day in the studio here.
It is a hot one in here.
Better than outside, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad that we've got a chance to start doing these podcasts on the West Coast and put together some content on this side of the water.
Absolutely. Well, I think the one thing that people might not know is almost 70% of our issuers are out west. So I think we'll have some really good times with a lot of the big faces and big names out in Vancouver. There's a lot of activity out here. A lot of the small cap space is, was born out of Vancouver. So I think it'll be exciting. No,
I completely agree. And especially coming off or starting off the new year and coming off the Lift Expo and VRIC and now going into PTAC, there's going to be lots to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Why don't we chat a little bit about what we have going on out west for the CSE? We obviously have most of our team out in Toronto, and we go out and see them as often as we can. But let's talk about what we do out here.
Of course. Where do we begin?
Well, I think one thing is we have a new office, which we're pretty excited about. We still have yet to find a boardroom table, but we're working on it. So our new office is at 1095
West Pender.
West Pender, thank you.
It's Suite 301 if you want to come visit, but call first.
Suite 301, that's right. No, you don't have to call. You can come by. Okay. We're open. There's usually coffee on. The other thing that's pretty exciting for us is in the past year we got recognized by the BCSE, so they're one of our regulators as well. So that was pretty exciting for us. Yeah. And then as well, we've also done a bunch of initiatives out west. So why don't you chat about some of the stuff that you've been working on?
Of course. So we started off, we did the on-the-street interviews with a lot of our issuers.
You've become the on-the-street king.
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I'm still learning as I go along. I still get nervous every interview that I do. But what I do find is that they're a lot easier when I've had a chance to kind of get to know the person I'm interviewing and talk to them a little bit beforehand. Not only find out, what their passions are and their strengths, but what drives them to kind of build this business and provide for their shareholders, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we're all learning at the same time. Those guys have to go out there and do their pitches, to bankers all the time, and so we're all in it together, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
So we obviously started off with the on the street interviews. We're now graduating into the podcast space, I guess. A lot of our colleagues and peers in the industry are doing podcasts as well. So hopefully we can stand out with our content.
The thought leadership that will come out of here will be grand. So we had a fun start to the year. Why don't we chat about what we did at VRIC this year? Because I'm pretty excited about it.
Sure.
So we came together with this grandiose scheme of putting together a new investor booth with the idea of trying to gain traction, new investors that are coming to the market finally. They got attracted by the cannabis space. It was sexy and hot, and trying to find a way that we could direct them into the mining space. Yeah. So why don't you tell us all what we ended up doing?
Well, it all started, as you know, last year at PTAC when as a group, we decided to focus on millennials in mining and highlight some of the young individuals that were helping to grow the space, both building companies as well as providing different services within the sector. We noticed that there was a lot of young people that were in the space, but not a lot of young people that were investing into it by ways of being a new investor. Like you just mentioned, they made money in the cannabis space. It's something that they were able to partake in. They can go to the dispensary, look at the products. I think I've mentioned this in an interview before. But with mining, it was not as sexy of a story to them. A lot of times when you're at these presentations and you're listening to a mining company present, you're looking at a couple of arrows going into a PowerPoint presentation talking about drill holes.
It's pretty hard to wrap your head around a lot of the technical information.
It's intimidating, and it's not even the technical information, it's the visual aspect of it. You're looking at a gray picture of a rock with a vein of something or the other going through it. you don't really understand it too much. But like I mentioned, with cannabis or esports or even tech, you can see it, touch it, feel it. It's there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of trying to take it back to those steps where you can talk to the younger audience, not only encourage them, but also educate them enough on why they should be looking at this space. I mean, we've all grown up in the mining space, so we know how important minerals and resources are, especially to tech and to kind of move society forward. But a lot of the young investors and the youth, they look at mining as a bad thing, and it not necessarily is not. So what we wanted to do,
well, I think, and one important element of that is that everything that we touch and use and eat is some way impacted by mining efforts as well. You know, there's been a lot of environmental processes that have been implemented, especially for mining that occurs in Canada, which, you know, reclamation kind of, you know, getting things back to where they were. But we, at this point, can't really survive as a society without it. You know, is the important part. I
completely agree with you. I mean, mining is such a necessary beast. It's required across all sectors, if you really think about it. And so,
you know what I think the neat thing was from PTAC and the New Faces of Mining to, you know, our initiative at VREC is actually seeing a lot of new faces. A lot of the people that we were introduced to as we did those interviews were actually people that were under the age of 30 or somewhere thereabouts, which was exciting to me. And I feel like somehow this was the first time we crossed paths with them, but a lot of them have been, you know, in it for, you know, since they got out of university. Yeah. So I was quite impressed with how many young people we are seeing within the industry itself, not even the investment side, but people that are actually working in the industry.
Yeah. And especially, you know, seeing the influx and a lot more interest from females that are not only goal driven, but like opinionated and are bringing a fresh look and approach to the mining space on how they can talk to investors.
Bring some great value to the sector, for sure.
Completely agree. So I thought that whole initiative went well to educate younger investors, because that's a big demographic. It's not just a millennial audience. I could be considered a younger investor because technically I'm not.
Yeah, you're young. I'd say you're young.
Okay, I'll take that.
As long as you say I'm young too.
You're absolutely young. Forever young.
And we've forgotten to tell them the best part. We called the initiative Between Two Rocks. So I don't know if everyone would get that, but our Between Two Ferns initiative, we did Between Two Rocks. We had two gorgeous rocks. You know, in our little toy truck on the table. And I think it really did bring a little bit of humor to what sometimes for a new investor would be a very dry experience. Yeah. I mean, you and I walked through Lyft and you're looking at some of these booths and some of the things that have been created, and it's actually entertaining just to walk through the floor of it. Whereas, you know, the mining conferences traditionally have been a little on the drier side as far as entertainment goes.
What I found the difference between those two, you can know nothing about the cannabis space or investment and go to a cannabis show and still have fun.
Totally.
And kind of immerse yourself within that culture. At a mining show, if you don't really know about the space, it's intimidating to go there and walk through the space because it's not as sexy, it's not as friendly.
I agree. I mean, resource is kind of my background, and even I find it intimidating. I mean, you know, you go in and there's maybe, let's say PTAC, for example, you know, you have 30 projects that are out of Quebec. Well, what does that mean? And how do you approach one versus the other? Yeah. So I think I'm hoping that actually, you know, we can also gain a lot from this initiative. Our Between Two Rocks, we're very excited, is going to be part of PTAC, which is very exciting. So we'll be doing those interviews in our booth, the CSC booth during PTAC.
That's right.
Which is pretty exciting as well.
I'm actually really excited for it to see how that pans out, and obviously based off what we've built here in Vancouver with our first initiative, I'm confident it's going to be a success. But I do want to touch on one thing. We talked about going to these conferences. You know, definitely as a new investor or to a younger investor, I would definitely want to say it is something that you really want to focus on by going to these shows. meeting the companies and talking to them, it'll definitely give you a bigger insight of whether or not you should put your hard-earned money into these.
I think that's a really great point. Don't be afraid to show up at these events, and they're always available to the general public. Sometimes there's a small fee to get in the door, but they're put together for people to come in and gain something from it. So, you know, and the guys are there, they want to talk to you. I mean, they get a booth and they put themselves there to talk to investors. So, you know, everyone's there for the same purpose. So take advantage of it. That's a really great point. Awesome. The other thing let's chat about is, I think it would be great for people to know kind of what we also offer out here for the CSC. Yeah. And I think one thing that you've implemented over the past year has been so amazing is really providing that full service to our issuers, and your sole focus is making them happy and putting them in touch with our service providers, which have become friends and family of the CSC. We've got a great service provider list. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your process is with issuers as they're onboarded and on a go-forward basis? Yeah.
So when an issuer and a new entrepreneur lists a public company on the CSC, you know, obviously I'll get in touch with them. Either myself or Barrington. I don't want to take all the credit for it because Barrington does, you know, kind of take care of the issuers on that.
Well, a lot of Vancouver people know Barrington, so everybody
knows Barrington.
I'm sure there's clapping nationwide right now.
So when a company lists and comes on board, obviously they get their digital welcome package, but we also encourage new investors to reach out, and not just new issuers to reach out, not just new issuers, but even existing issuers that have been with us since inception to reach out when they have compelling news. We've just built a brand new market center, a media center in our Toronto office. It's got a massive screen. And, you know, based on either news or a new listing, we welcome you to come out there and do a market open, ring the bell with your team, provide some recognition for all of them. We obviously do podcasts in the Toronto office for our new issuers, but again, here on the West Coast as well now. And moving forward, if you do feel like you have some sort of a story to tell, please, we encourage you to reach out to Anna or myself, and we'd be more than happy to take a few minutes and talk to you guys.
I didn't turn my ringer off on my phone.
Well,
rookie mistake, right?
Growing pains is what I call it.
And hey, while we're talking about that, actually, let's say a huge thank you to MarketOne Media, who has helped provide us with this studio.
Yeah.
They've opened their doors to us, so thank you very much to them. They're obviously a big name in Vancouver as well, have helped lots of our issuers as well, and we have a great relationship with them. So thank you, MarketOne.
Yeah, thanks to MarketOne and the whole team for being so accommodating to us. Obviously, look out for an upcoming episode of West Coast #Finance with MarketOne, and they can tell you a little bit about their role within the space.
Yeah, but to go back to your point there, as new issuers come on and service providers, we encourage people to contact us and let us know if you want to get out here and tell your story or tell an experience or just have a chat with the CSC.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to create some great content out of this. So I'm excited about this initiative.
Yeah, and again, so this is just one of the initiatives. We've also got, I know I mentioned our media center and market opens. We've got the Public Entrepreneur magazine that we feature our issuing companies in to highlight not just, you know, their fundamentals of the company, but what drove them into this space, and talk to them a little bit about behind the scenes of what's happening with the companies and their teams. So we've got those initiatives. When it comes to our service providers, thank you to everybody that we work with or will be working with. You know, we encourage them also to reach out to us if they come up with some new initiatives on how to build the space, how to get more new investors into it. We've got our service provider magazine that they get featured in. They obviously have the ability to advertise on the on our website and things like that as well. But you know, just making sure that we're picking the right service providers to highlight our issuing companies goes a long way. And I'm glad
we have some really great people that we work with. I feel really blessed.
I agree.
You know, I don't think that you always can say that in your job, but I really feel like, I mean, working with you is such a pleasure. We have such a great time in our office, and the service providers that we work with are just lovely people. Our issuers, they're so nice to us. They're so great to deal with. It really, we have a pretty lucky job, I think.
No, I completely agree. And I believe that it's all in the give and take. So, you know, it's not just us reaching out to them, it's them reaching out to us. It's a great relationship that we've been able to build with the capital market investment industry and space within the West Coast.
Well, I say that's kudos to you as well, because you're such a nice guy. When we have to make a bad call, I usually get you to do it because you sound nicer than I do.
You're giving away our secrets.
If you get a call from Anil and you're in trouble...
Nobody's in trouble. You're all our favorites.
Well, listen, I'm excited to start this initiative. I think we have lots going on in Vancouver. We encourage, you know, everyone in the community to reach out to us anytime. If you have questions, we're always available. Come by the office if you want to have a chat. You know, we really do have open arms and open door in Vancouver. So definitely reach out to us is my message. What's yours?
I would say that you've touched on all those points. Call, text, or email. Hopefully we can help you with what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Thanks.